it has impacts across the whole grounds, the whole event, television, players, everything. Over 40,000 people coming in here every day. So
Wimbledon does not hand out favors. Keep that single fact in mind, because once you accept it, everything that has just happened around Alex starts to look almost unbelievable. This is the most tradition-bound, data-driven, prestige-guarding institution in all of sport. They do not award main draw spots out of sentiment, and they certainly do not bend their own rules because a player has an attractive game or a growing online following. So when Wimbledon's own tournament director steps in front of the cameras in person and not only confirms a player's place in the main draw but explains why that player alone could pull roughly 40,000 fans through the gates, you have to ask, who is this player and how did she rise this fast? 6 months ago, a casual fan might have called Alex promising at best. Now Wimbledon is shaping part of its audience projections around her name. That leap from promising to unmissable is the real story, and it's one of the most remarkable threads running through women's tennis right now. Here's the part that deserves more attention. That 40,000 figure wasn't a guess. Wimbledon doesn't deal in guesses. It came from ticket demand patterns, broadcast interest, audience engagement data, and months of commercial intelligence tracking how crowds respond whenever Alex steps onto a court. The tournament director, Baker, made the reasoning explicit. Wimbledon's decisions are built on data, not emotion or headlines. When every metric points at one player this consistently, the organization listens, and right now the numbers around Alex are aligned in a way that has caught even insiders off guard. To understand how this unfolded, rewind to the start of the grass season. Alex didn't arrive at this moment by luck or a manufactured storyline. She earned it match by match, against opponents who had every reason to stop her. It began in Birmingham, where she entered as the top seed, a position that brings its own kind of pressure, since every rival is gunning for you specifically. But early on, something new was visible. Her movement on grass had changed. Her decisions were sharper, her shots crisper, as if she'd been quietly preparing for this exact surface for a long time. She advanced through the early rounds with a stillness that bordered on unsettling, not arrogance, but composure, and the best players in the world know the difference. Arrogance is loud. Composure is quiet and far more dangerous. Then came the final, and it nearly slipped away. Her opponent, Nicola Barcinova, executed her game plan perfectly in the opening set, taking it 7-5. In a championship match, on the surface where Alex had been building her entire case, she suddenly found herself down a set. This is usually where the story turns into a valiant run or a strong campaign, the polite language reserved for near misses. Alex didn't follow that script. The player who walked out for set 2 was sharper and more willing to dictate play rather than react to it. She took that set 6-3, and the emotional momentum of the match flipped entirely. Now it was Barcinova scrambling to adjust. The decider went a 5-5, 5 games apiece, in a final, after more than 2.5 hours of grinding tennis, the exact stage where fitness and nerve usually decide everything. Alex didn't flinch. She stayed aggressive when the safer instinct would have been to play it cautious, and she closed out the set 7-5 to win the title. That made her a Birmingham champion, joining a list that includes Maria Sharapova, Ashley Barty, and Angelique Kerber, not just great players, but names that defined entire eras of the sport. Instead of taking a breath to let that sink in, Alex did what only the most driven players do. She carried that momentum straight into Berlin, with no break and no celebration, facing tougher competition while the tennis world was now actually watching. And she kept winning. She beat Elena Rybakina, a Grand Slam champion, with one of the most lethal serves in the women's game and a player who's reached and won Wimbledon finals. Beating her on a grass-like surface is no small feat. Then she got past Alexandra Sasnovich, a former world number 3 with years of experience navigating the pressure of elite competition. Match after match in Berlin, Alex played with a level of self-belief that shifted the entire conversation about her. Before Birmingham, people debated her potential. After Berlin, they were debating her ceiling, a far more exciting question. Her Berlin run ended in the semi-finals against Linda Noskova, which on its own might look like a minor setback. But step back and look at the full stretch. A title, wins over a Grand Slam champion and a former top 3 player, and a semi-final at one of the toughest grass events on the calendar, all inside a matter of weeks, all building directly toward Wimbledon. This isn't a hot streak anymore. It's a transformation, and Wimbledon clearly recognized it before most people said so out loud. Now for the part of this story that stretches beyond tennis itself. Ticket demand tied to Alex this season reached numbers almost nobody predicted, hundreds of thousands of fans specifically seeking tickets to watch her. Not the tournament, not a rivalry, her. That kind of pull usually follows established multi-slam champions with years of built-up following. Alex hasn't reached that stage in titles, yet the audience showed up anyway. Some of it is how she plays a visual, kinetic quality that's compelling even if you don't track every tactical detail. Some of it is the speed of her rise, the sense of watching history unfold live. And some of it is that rare, hard-to-define quality that makes neutral fans stop scrolling. Wimbledon's data confirmed it, registering roughly 40,000 spectators drawn specifically by her matches, real people making real decisions to show up. For a tournament that prides itself on resisting hype, that number carries weight, and Baker's comments made clear Wimbledon understood exactly what it was looking at. There's also a strategic edge worth pausing on. By entering the main draw directly instead of through qualifying, Alex skips something casual fans often overlook: the physical and mental toll of a 3-round qualifying gauntlet against players with nothing to lose and everything to prove. Skipping that means she arrives at the main event with full energy reserves, preparation tailored specifically for it, and total focus on the opponents ahead rather than the one she had to survive just to get there. At a tournament where margins are razor thin, that head start matters enormously, and Wimbledon granted it because the data told them she was ready for a deep run. Consider where that leaves her. The entire grass season has been Alex answering every doubt about whether she belongs at this level. Can she handle being the favorite? Birmingham said yes. Can she beat a Grand Slam champion? Rybakina said yes. Can she fight back from a set down in a final? Barchanova said yes. Can she carry momentum from one event into the next without dropping off? Berlin said yes. There are no theoretical questions left, the results have already answered them. But Wimbledon is a different kind of pressure altogether. Birmingham's expectations were manageable. Berlin's draw was tough, but the atmosphere was different. At Wimbledon, the history is physical, it lives in the grass, the walls, the hush before a serve. Alex steps into that with 40,000 fans drawn by her name, a tournament director who's publicly backed her, and expectations built from weeks of proof. That's an enormous weight. But here's the case for betting on her handling it. Every time the stakes rose this season, her level rose with them. When rain delays disrupted Birmingham's rhythm, she adapted. When a final opponent shifted tactics mid-match, she adjusted. When the deciding set got tightest, she elevated. That pattern, getting better as pressure increases, is one of the rarest traits in professional sport, and the grass season suggests Alex belongs in that category. Now Wimbledon will tell us if that holds at the highest level the sport offers. A player whose trajectory has pointed here for months. A tournament that studied the data and publicly bet on her arrival. Tens of thousands already committed to watching. And a recent record that pre-answers nearly every skeptical question. When her name appeared in the main draw, the conversation around Wimbledon shifted. She stopped being just another name in a stacked field and became one of the tournament's central storylines. Baker gave the world a projection of 40,000 fans, but what that number can't fully capture is what those fans are actually showing up for. Not a ranking, not a seed number, not a line in a stat sheet, something that simply feels different about Alex right now. Something that feels like it's building toward a moment people will either witness live or spend years wishing they had. The grass season was the warm-up. Birmingham was the statement. Berlin was the confirmation. And Wimbledon, the oldest, most demanding, least forgiving tournament in tennis, is the exam. Wimbledon has watched a century of players walk in carrying expectation. Most meet the moment halfway. A few exceed it briefly, and very rarely, one arrives who doesn't just meet the moment, but makes it feel small next to what actually happens. The data said 40,000 fans. The tournament director said she belongs. The grass court record said she's ready. Everything is in place. Everything points forward. The only question left, the only one that's ever mattered, is the one only the grass itself can answer.